Hey gang, Will here from the Ashland Fly Shop and got a fishing report for you for the end of March going into April for the Southern Oregon, Northern California region, and off we go. Okay, so let's talk about the Rogue. We'll talk a little bit about steelhead, late season steelhead here. And that's where we're at. The Rogue is in good shape. It's in good shape. It's, I think, around 1,800 or right around there, 1,600 at Dodge. And that's a really nice place to be fishing, that Dodge Bridge, Tuvell Park. Lots of good color in the water there. Water looks really nice down through there. So that's really good all the way down through, you know, like Rogue River and down through Grants Pass. Now we've got really nice conditions in the river. They're really letting a very minimal flow out still out of the dam, like 700 or 800. So very, very low flows, just holding back a lot of water in the dam. And so flows are looking good through the river. Good time to be swinging flies, good time to be nymphing. Getting late for the fish, and I think that's important. As steelheaders, we really want to be aware of this time of year. Fish are really starting to pair up, starting to make reds, and you probably will start to see that out there a little bit now in the main stem, and you just want to really avoid those fish as best you can out there at this point. So be tuned into that. You know, there's no need to fish on reds at all. We always like to fish, you know, in the runs, you know, down below and stuff. But those are definitely going to be steelhead now, not to be confused with salmon at this time. So we really want to leave those fish alone. But there are some opportunities to be had still on the Rogue. Some nice fish out there. I've had some pretty decent reports in the last week or so. Again, really hit or miss. It's been quite hit or miss. It's very typical winter steelhead fishing. Just, you know, you're not looking for a whole bunch of hookups out there. You're just looking for a few, you know, a few fish. So so keep that in mind when you're out there. But it is a good time to be out there for maybe another couple weeks before we really kind of just throw the switch on the whole thing. We'll talk a little bit about the Applegate. Really just a lot of activity over there as usual at this time of year. And it is decent flows, good flows down there. And it's going to close in just a couple days. So it closes at the last of March is the last time you can fish the Applegate. Closes the 1st of April. So keep that in mind. A little further up the road on the North Umpqua, it has a similar kind of time frame that the Rogue does, in that, you know, there can be good fishing in that late March, early April window. It's one of the few rivers that is open into this time of year. But again, I think it's the same kind of thing, you know, as far as our ethics are concerned for fishing for steelhead. You really want to be aware of that and be aware of spawning fish up there. But now would be a good time. Looks like the flows are in pretty good shape up there. I think I saw it's about 5,000, 4,500 down at the Winchester Dam. So I think flows probably be pretty good up in the fly water, pretty good along there. And they could, you know, do see some pretty nice fish at this time of year. So North Umpqua is still a pretty good bet. Klamath River to the south, we really start to kind of not pay attention to it too much this time of year. I'm sure there's still some fish to be had down there. You know, the summer fish are so late coming in there, continuing to filter in, and then, you know, whatever winter fish are in there, should be a few of them around. But this time of year, it starts to really kind of drop off. We see the flows really fluctuate. I think they're around 1,800 right now, so not too bad. Probably a fair amount of color in there. So, you know, if it's really on your radar, you want to give it a try, I'd say go for it, but there might be some better opportunities to be had than the Upper Klamath. Most of the coastal rivers are closing at the end of the month, so that's important to note as well. You know, Chetco, a lot of the rivers down there are going to be closing right at the end of the month here, so that'll be the end of that. So as we do this time of year, we start to transition into our trout fisheries. We start to pay attention and kind of project and what's going to be happening, and what does the water conditions look like and all that. So probably do a little bit more in-depth talk about that as we get a little closer. But we'll talk a little bit about the holy water, which is the upper Rogue stretch there. That we fish, that little chunk of river below the dam that we fish quite a bit. March and into April can really be a transition time, and I expect the fishing to really pick up there. Again, there is a lot of natural spawning happening up there, so you want to be aware of that and kind of look out for fish on reds and stuff. There's no need to try and pick them off the reds there. You will see some of those reds in there, but this can be a very good time of year to fish streamers up there. You can still get some lingering hatches, blueing olive hatches. Some of the warmer days you might see some small caddis and stuff popping off, but probably mostly a streamer game. Streamer and soft tackles, great place to use a little trout spay up there, fishing streamers and fishing nymphs. And actually even swinging like stonefly patterns and things like that as those insects start to get moving around as the water temps come up a little bit, and all those bugs prepare to start hatching, which we're really stoked for in May. So I think the holy water is really worth starting to pay attention to, and we'll keep you tuned in to that as it continues on. Northern California, we love fishing trout in Northern California. We're very excited to be fishing down there this year. We've got a great snowpack, and hopefully we won't just burn through the whole thing in May as we have in previous years, but hopefully we'll have some kind of inclement weather in the spring that'll keep those fisheries going. We won't go through a huge runoff, but we probably will see a pretty strong runoff through May. But some pre-runoff fishing can be really good. McLeod opens at the end of April, and that can be very good. The Upper Sac is open all year. I've heard of some very good fishing happening down there. Some good high water nymphing and high water fishing down there, which can be really good this time of year. So that's something to be tuned into. Challenging fishing down there otherwise. You're not really looking for hatches, but if you can find some good spots to run some nymphs through this time of year, you can find some pretty nice fish down there. So be a good place to go and trout fish for the next few weeks before we get into that runoff period. And then post runoff is when it's just game on all throughout Northern California. As the water comes back down, really start seeing some good hatches and some real hungry fish in there. So we're really paying attention to those trout fisheries down there. So that's where we're at here at the Ashland Fly Shop. We're looking forward to being done with winter steelhead and banging our head up against that wall as we have been for the past several weeks with some pretty decent success here and there. But looking forward to transitioning into trout and a lot of that, what that brings for the changes in the season. It's just really going to be a nice spring around here. So we'll keep you in the loop. Please feel free to give us a call. Happy to give you any current updated information that we have in detail. And I appreciate you watching as usual, and we'll talk to you soon.